All right, we're back here, and as you know, I'm over in the humanities, Dan's over in anthropology. In Native American studies, there's sometimes been a kind of animosity between folks working in anthropology and in Native studies. As it turns out, some of my best friends are anthropologists, and there's a lot we can learn here. Increasingly, we're learning more about different ways of going about some archaeology. We've had some troubles in the past with folks digging in places that maybe they ought not be digging. So what's going on now at Spiro with the new approach to archaeology?
Well, I think that the work that's being undertaken today out at Spiro Mounds, the excavations, are a great example of what I refer to as sort of a new archaeology or a new paradigm that guides the work of archaeology and anthropology in general. You know, we're largely a colonial discipline, and there was a sort of an inherent perception that we were free to do whatever we wanted. After all, we're doing science here. But
Science.
it's a new day in that Native communities through a variety of means, are now full partners in this. So that before we undertake work in a community, a contemporary community, or before we go out and conduct archaeological excavations, there's a consultation process that's there. And it's important to remind people that the work of archaeology benefits everyone, and it's I think it's always interesting to me that tribal peoples have the same, if not more, interest in the work of archaeology and the results. After all, these are their ancestors that we're talking about here.
I don't know anybody else who has that key old book, Cherokee Archaeology, on their shelf, right? Yeah, except folks, working in Indian studies.
Right. Yeah, I think that, for example, the excavation of graves. There's a reason that archaeologists excavate graves. They're a tremendous source of information. And because all we have left are the durable materials, the funerary objects, oftentimes that's some of the strongest evidence that they have for their interpretations. But we have to remember that, again, these are people's ancestors. So that you have to have a really good reason today to conduct an archaeological excavation, and more importantly, tribal partners have to agree that it's worthwhile to undertake that.
Okay. Well, now, out at Spiro, they're using some different methods to get at this. So they're not jumping to digging out the graves, they're trying to do some other things first. What are they up to?
You know, as we saw in the video, they're using non-intrusive means. So they're using all sorts of remote sensing, magnetic imaging, so that they can actually see what they refer to as anomalies in the soil, underneath the soil, so that they have a pretty good idea of where the materials are. This has been incredibly useful in avoiding graves, actually, in many instances, and focusing, just as they are on the current excavation out there, on a residential unit.
I see. Very interesting stuff. Okay, so you're talking about ways in which folks have figured out how to avoid perhaps the most contentious practices of archaeology and avoiding these sorts of graves. But of course, they've done it in the past, and there are some skeletons and things like that that are still sitting on some shelves around. So before too long, as we roll along into our fourth unit, we'll talk about how it is that you navigate those kinds of waters. Anything to look forward to?
We're definitely going to have a robust conversation about NAGPRA. That's the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, which was really responsible for a lot of the change that we've seen in the way that anthropology and archaeology are conducted today.
All right, good. We got a lot to look forward to.